Universal Church of the Master for as long as I know, and I've known her for over 20 years. So it's been a long time. And Bree lives over the hill, as it were. She lives in Patterson, which is quite a ways away. She came here today, and we're also lucky that she brought her Mother Ethel.
Yay.
Hello, Mother Ethel.
Mother Ethel.
and who lives even further away. You live in Clovis, don't you? Yeah. That's a long.
Yesterday.
Yeah, came yesterday to get a running start on it. That's great, and we're so glad that you could be here. One of the things that we've been talking about with Janet and myself this morning are the spiritual ways that you can protect yourself. Those are really important, but what happens when we're in a place that we need to physically protect ourselves? Many of us were never raised that way, especially if you weren't raised with any brothers. So that I have women that say, I am so good at taking care of myself. I had 5 brothers. Yeah, you know. But there are tools that we can learn to deal with spiritually, physically, emotionally, and mentally protecting ourselves. And our wonderful Bree is part of an organization called Damsels In Defense. And she's going to tell us about what women and men, this is not just, you know, you might, men you might kind of go, I'm not a damsel. Yeah, but you're somebody who can learn how to defend themselves. Please let us welcome Reverend Bree Peuker.
Yay! Woo!
You need a hug?
Always, yeah.
You're going to do great. Some people aren't ready when I say, do you want to talk? And I say, oh, yes, you do. And they're going, no, I don't think so.
All the way up to the pulpit, huh?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, that's the start. Okay. I'm Reverend Bree Peuker. I've been with UCM as a minister for 20 years. Prior to that, a lot longer. At least 10 years prior to that. But what I got involved with about a year ago, or actually it's been about 2 years ago this month, I was introduced to Damsel In Defense. So I had to sit around and think about it for at least 6 months. And in that 6-month period, I got to know Damsel and what they were about and the things that they do. From the charities that they donate to in protecting people from harm, to actually having houses throughout the world for human trafficking, to stop it, to house the kids that they pull off. They give them shelter, education, and a means to actually provide for themselves at then and into a future. So they are doing tremendous things. Now, when I look at it, it was also their product, great product. They don't take the short end of the stick and say, here's your product. They take it to its max that they are allowed to get away with legally. That's the great thing, and they're constantly evolving it. If it's not quite working, it didn't quite come off the line like they thought it was, they'll pull that product back and then produce it better. I had to battle with that going on in that 6-month period. Do I truly, truly want to do this? Because it sort of contradicted my spiritual side, but then it didn't. I had to become aware that this is a physical body that can be harmed with, and that when that happens, what happens to an individual when your physical is attacked, your mental and your emotional go right into that arena. Yeah. Oh, what happens to spirit? It's sitting in the back row of the theater. Why? You've got the physical that's been attacked, but you've got the mental and the emotional going, I'm second in tier. No, I'm second in tier. No, you're third. You know, because they're battling against one another because both of them have been offended too. Okay? So then Spirit's going, hey, you guys, hold on here. Wait a minute. So what happens with that fear that's happened from this physical trauma? It stopped you from your spiritual development. It's all fear-based. So how do you actually combat that, and how do you get the message out to people that there's items out there that can actually protect you? All of the Damsel product is non-lethal. So it's a great way to defending yourself without hindering somebody permanently from this earth plane. It also, the thing that I liked about Damsel is their philosophy. Basically, the equipment is there. You can actually, to me, the product sells itself. Once you know about what the product does, it will sell itself. My actual thing that I love to do is educate people on what the product can do for them, how it can best serve you. It might not be for you in that particular product, but I've got a few others. Along with that, the empowerment that you feel when you have it. If you're secure enough in knowing how to use it, I can tell you right now you're going to be very empowered with it. And as for our men, we call them our men with a mission. And I love our men with a mission because they're right there beside us. It isn't all just a woman issue. It is all of us together making sure that this happens. So, I look at it in ways that, right there we've got ways of educating kids, educating women, and educating men. I have so many men that come over and are just enthralled with the product line, and they want to protect their women. So on that table you will find that we have education for the kids, which are books. They will describe things from bullying to entrapment to abuse with your own friends and predators that are out there. They range from ages of books that educate kids from 4 to into the teens. Along with that, we've got a parent guide. And then with that, we have a game board. And in that game board, that teaches parents, when you're interacting with your kid, what your kid has actually mastered, what you don't really have to keep on enforcing, but it allows you to sit there and see, and also the areas that they need to have more help on. So you're able to do that. We call that our Safe Heart product line. Why? Because our thing is to guard their hearts, to shield. If anything's happening that doesn't feel comfortable to them, they need to listen to their inner self and know what to do when that inner self is talking. Get out of the situation, go and tell somebody, so that they know that door or those avenues are open. You are no longer voiceless, which so many of us have been voiceless. We know the statistics out there. We know that every 26 seconds, somebody is being assaulted. We know that 1 out of every 5 women have been raped. We know that there are times that, you look at all the statistics that are out there. I'm not going to, sit there and go through all of them. But it's very hurtful when you have that, because I'll be honest, all the statistics that are out there, I'm a shadow of those statistics. And what do I mean that I'm a shadow? I've never claimed any of those assaults. So I'm a shadow to that, because the numbers that I'm giving you are actually people that have reported. And if you don't report, those numbers are never counted for.
That's right.
So, in that respects, I can't go back on the shadows. I'll still probably live in them in a lot of ways for those statistics, but I don't have to continuously live in them. And it's amazing that this week has been what it's been, where people are coming out of the shadows.
Yes, they are.
Dottie asked me to do this over a month ago. How was I supposed to know what the universe was going to be doing? They mixed it really good. Would have never thought that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Are caregivers, our police and fire and all that, are they being trained now to listen more intently when somebody comes to them?
Some of them are, because you're talking about different counties, unfortunately. So every county handles those situations differently. I know one county, which I wish we would mirror throughout the United States, where they take the one victim and only have that person tell their story one time.
That's right.
Just one time. They don't have to repeat it constantly.
Right.
And with that, law enforcement, therapists, everybody knows about it. So they're not having to continuously tell their story. Yeah, isn't that a nice thing to model to? And I hope that we start getting that more and more into our
And what
counties.
county is that?
That's actually up in Boise, Idaho.
Mm.
And it's marvelous on what they're doing. And if you like more information, I can probably get that to you on the site, exactly who, you know, that foundation and everything.
That's great.
With the product line too, we have things that are identity theft. Okay? With identity theft, we know that that is something that can happen in a blink of an eye. We're getting such good technology out there that is not always being used for the good.
When all that stuff really screws up with your spirituality, it makes you mad. And it's so hard to stay spiritual when you're angry, right?
Yes.
And it feels like you're assaulted, and it's like it grabs you before you can even say, no, I mean God bless them.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing, is what you feel that you're empowered to do. Because as these things attack you, be it your spirituality, or your identity, or your, physical, or, any of that, you start wondering, you start getting that fear-based. And that's not what this is about. It's mainly protect yourselves, so that you stop living in the shadows of the fears. And with that, we've also got the pepper spray, stun guns, Kubatons, security on the go, things like alarms, we've got a whistle. So these things will all allow you to actually defend yourself, protect yourself. And, they're great tools. And, with that, it's mainly coming out of the shadows and getting out of the fear. And, some of you are sitting there now thinking, okay, I walk out of my house, I surround myself with a lot of white light. I do that. I hop in the car. So in your car, imagine this. How many safety devices does your car have?
The brakes?
Steering wheel,
Seatbelt?
seat belt,
Locks.
Locks,
correct?
Airbags, power windows, airbags, yeah.
The best safety device you have is your head.
Correct. That's why when I ride a motorcycle, I wear a helmet. So, yes, your car already has protection, but you're walking out there, and then you put a bunch of white light in front of your car, and behind your car, and down below, up above, and off to the sides. I don't care if you pad it by 10 foot, 12 foot, or whatever you're going to do. But you do these things, okay, in addition to it. So you're going down the road, and you're driving, you've got all this padding on, white light, somebody cuts you off, or whoops off in front of you, tailgating. What do you do in those situations? Do you apply the brakes, or do you think, oh, white light's just going to surround me and cover me, I don't need to react here, I don't need to change lanes, I don't need to brake, I don't need to accelerate?
God will help me. God
Yeah.
knows I'm in trouble.
So a lot of times what we do, we need to participate in that, is what I'm trying to tell you. You can still have your white light, your spirituality, but you need to actually participate. You can't be a bystander in that white light, because of the fact that it won't work.
If the train's coming, get off the track.
Yes.
Kind of like a minister that I used to listen to a lot when we were talking about prayer treatment. He would always say, treat and beat your feet.
Right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like that.
Mhm.
Treat and beat your feet,
Yes, exactly, Jen. Yeah, so you need to be a willing participant in your own protection. So, don't just allow it for your guardian angels. Lord knows I've already exercised them quite a bit.
Me too.
I've stressed them out so bad, they're gonna give me a few words when I get up there. I hear them telling me right now, I'm gonna come back as you're gonna be my guardian angel. Get back. I say karma, right? So, you know, you need to be there in front and center in that. And, you know, no matter what. But you'll find that there are gonna be things that you resonate with and other things you won't. And that's okay.
Can I ask another question? How as a parent can we best protect our kids?
Education, education, education. And that's the best way I'm gonna put it. We have things that will help the kids. We have the personal alarms, and just this past summer, we came up with our bulletproof shield. We're all about shielding right now, which was interesting in the meditation. So we have a bulletproof shield. Does it seem like we're fear-based, or are we trying to protect? I like to think that we're trying to protect. You send your child off to a place that used to be a safe place. Now it's sort of like, how safe is it? And you never know what's going to happen. And they're putting in safeguards too, having, you know, people on campus, locked doors, you know, and so on and so forth. But everything can be broken down. You can put up as many barriers you can, and it's funny that you put locks on your car, what happens? They find a way of breaking your
Break
locks.
the window, yeah.
Break the window, you know? So, you know, these are the things that happen, and the main thing is how to help that, you know, and keeping that from happening. Yes?
While we often think of violence and sexual assaults as coming from outsiders and strangers, so much of it is coming from family members and friends. And so I think it's so important to have the education for kids and have them know that it applies everywhere. It applies at school, it applies at the grocery store, it applies at family gatherings.
Yes, absolutely right. Nobody is without that.
Well, but so many times people say to the kids, don't tell anybody. And if you tell somebody, I'll hurt your mother,
Yeah.
Or it will destroy your family.
or would destroy your family.
No one
And
will
that,
believe you.
no
Correct.
one will believe you, thank you, all of these things. And that's so difficult when you're 6.
Yeah.
You believe adults, you've been told to believe adults. An adult tells you this is gonna happen if you say anything. So that education is so important, because how many times as a mother or a grandmother have you had a kid run up and say, Mama, I'm gonna tell you something. You say, well, wait just a minute. And for a kid, a minute is like an hour and a half.
Right.
You know, so somehow as parents and guardians and caregivers, we need to learn to listen when a kid says we need to talk.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, sometimes you're raised in an atmosphere, kids are meant to be seen, not heard. Well, I'm sorry, there are times you really need to listen to your child because they have great insight to things that you are not privy to. Yes?
I'm so glad you brought up about the idea
You're
of.
gonna have to stand up because they can't hear you a bit back
Do you
there.
need the mic?
Oh, no, that's,
Oh,
I
then
don't
you're
think
just-
so.
Use your theater voice.
I'm really happy that you brought up about the idea of the white light, because I've spent a lot of time working with people who said, well, I put up the white light and this happened to me, so that means either I did it wrong or I was being punished. And as a reverend, and coming from that side, it's, you know, how do you help people to be able to find that balance point again and, you know, kind of take away that guilt that we almost feel that I had to have done something wrong to do this when something happens to you. So what would be some of the things that you might suggest to be able to, you know, kind of be able to help people to gain that center again?
A lot of times I feel that everything happens for a reason, as we were discussing earlier. I mean, this groundwork that has been prepared for me to deliver this message is there. So there's a reason for all things. And when something comes into your life as a negative, if you want to see it as a negative, it sometimes is a positive, but you won't see that positive until later down the road. Now, how much of it do you take in and how much do you participate in? Are you an observer of it? Or are you getting down into the trenches and beating that drum as badly as everything else? So if you get my drift, it's a thing of where you're at with it. Are you more of a casual observer and looking at what's there? If you've got something traumatic coming into your life, what is it that you're supposed to be learning from that? Because there's always a teaching lesson to these things. Is it something where you have now realized, oh, I'm no longer in that place. I've evolved from there. So you've actually educated or grown and changed your own energy. Because when you actually grow and change, you've changed something about yourself. You are now a new person. You've put on a new cloak in this life. Because you're no longer enslaved to that fear. Does that sort of answer that question?
Yeah, thank you.
And you know, I think you're gonna want time to talk about your product. Could you do that after service? So service might not be as long as regular, so when we get done, Reverend Bree is going to be over there and talk to you about the products she has and what they do for you, so that we could do that. I think that would work really well. Yeah.
And so what I promised to do, because it'll be a little loud, is we'll sound it off once so everybody hears the sound, you know what it does, and we'll, not continuously fire off stun guns and our alarms and stuff like that. Because when you got 120 decimal points setting at you, it's like,
I'm out of here.
yes, April.
Bree, what I hear you saying is, my sense of your message is about empowerment and about recognizing we all have within ourselves capacities beyond what we recognize, and to access and utilize that. If that means having having the wherewithal to buy something, or whether it's just understanding the play of life is going to play, and how we respond to it is an important part of this. So it's about empowerment, and with children it's about empowerment with education. And recognizing the divinity within each of us, we have access to more than what we recognize. Is that kind of what you're trying to say, what you're sharing with us?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then you get that wisdom that comes along with that empowerment. I don't want to tread there, but I'll tread over here and still be as effective. Yes, Jim?
Well, I was going to also honor that you're breaking the conspiracy of silence. This is so huge. Anytime we talk about it, you talk about it, we bring it up. It's breaking that conspiracy of silence.
Can you hear her in the back?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is so powerful. The more we break the conspiracy of silence about trauma, the more we can unify and tend to befriend each other and support each other through it, so that we're not doing it alone. And so with
Indeed.
these products, these are actually on the physical plane, allies for us.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Let me give you guys a little test here.
Wonderful.
Close your eyes and I'll try to make it simple. Okay? First of all, what color are my shoes?
Yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah, pretty loud today, weren't
It's got
they?
light
So
in
you guys should have it. This is good. Okay? Now, the person to your left, and Andrew, you will sit there and be a part of me. So anybody on the last aisle there will be the person in front of you. What color is their shirt?
White.
What is it? It's a
Okay. Now, how many exits are in this room?
Two.
This room, three.
There's three.
Oh, that's right, the windows.
No,
No,
there's
the
a
warehouse,
warehouse.
there's a
The
warehouse.
warehouse.
1, 2, 3.
What that is a training for situational awareness. That's another thing that plays into this, is having a knowledge of what's going on around you. So that was what we were just sort of doing. And you can do this even with kids. You go off to a restaurant, right, and you ask the child, close your eyes, what's on the table with all the condiments? What that does is make them aware of their surroundings, let alone right down to the people around you. What was the lady who was, setting us, what was she wearing? What were her shoes? You're teaching your child to be aware of things that are going on.
That's awesome.
I mean, I could go on and on and on about this stuff. I mean, it's pretty awesome stuff. And, these are just little bits that can go on in your life, right down into your children. So, basically, as you guys sort of figured out, I've been a little broken in my life. As I continue to pick up the pieces and try to place them back, they're a little bit deformed, a little bit abstract. But I look back at them. I look at myself. I'm an abstract, beautiful, just like a Picasso. I'll leave you with that.
Oh.
Thank you so very much. That was fantastic, Bree. Okay. And now we have a wonderful, wonderful gift. Margaret Miles joined us, and we are so glad to have her here. Also, she was able to bring her mother Norma today. We haven't seen Norma for a few weeks now, and we're so glad to have her back here. And then I'm going to let Margaret explain to you the instrument that she plays, because every time she's here, people want to know, who was that lady that played that strange instrument? The lady that funny stringed instrument, and that lady is Margaret, and the instrument is how many strings? How many strings?